Manuel-Sterling, May 2019. Morning, Manuel.
Good morning.
What year did you arrive in Plymouth?
I believe it's 1966.
And at that time, would the college have been referred to as Plymouth Teachers College?
No, Plymouth State College, it had gone through the transition already. And they were hiring a lot of people, and I was one of them.
And why were they hiring so many people at that time?
Simply because they got a grant from the federal government of that sort of thing. And they began to expand departments and create departments.
Do you recall, allow me to ask you, do you recall the first year's salary that you had?
Oh, that's easy because I was starving. Okay, it was 9,500.
And any idea of the population of the students that we might have had at that time?
I don't remember that, but I believe it may have been 750. I am maybe incorrect, but that's...
And as you remember, any idea of the number of employees we might have had?
No, I don't remember that, but I know they were hiring also because, you know, it was growing all around. The faculty, they had to do services, and I mean the faculty, the student body, which was growing every year. It was growing, yes.
Yes, it was. How many years were you employed at Plymouth State?
After what?
At Plymouth State, how many years were you employed?
I don't remember well, okay. How many years after I was employed, excuse me, I retired in 1988. I was 45 years, okay, and then I talked to one of my former students. Today is an employee. I call her my fourth daughter, and I said, this is not fair because I taught many classes in summer, and if you put them all together, I deserve the 50-year pin. So she went and did a little politics, and I got my 50-year pin. No, 40 years, that was left behind. Oh, I have the pin, thank you. I have the pin for the 50 years.
You were hired as a faculty member here at Plymouth State, correct?
Yes.
Can you share some of your responsibilities as a faculty member?
Essentially was teaching my courses, the courses that they were assigned to me. The announcement in the newspapers calling for faculty was for essentially medieval studies in every way, you know, in geographically speaking, in the Mediterranean or the European. But as they were sometimes lacking in the faculty, I taught other subjects too that were related to my subject.
Can you tell me one or two of the courses that might resonate with the people that are watching us today?
Okay, one of them was Latin America history, which when the chairman, Dave Switzer, said, oh Manuel, I want you next year to teach Latin America. I said, Dave, because I come from the south of the border, it doesn't mean I know all the history of those 20 republics or 21. And he looked at me and said, yes, but you have the right accent. he had a New England sense of humor. So I smiled and I said, give me the textbook.
My question is, in the beginning, what contact did you have with students? Obviously, in classrooms, but outside of the classroom, were there other ways that you met with students, worked with students?
Yes, I made every possible opening for them to talk to me, to come and visit in my office, because I like students very much. I think my mind is still young, and I like to hear them and what they want to be in the future. So I was wide open. Dr. Pugh, who was the chair of the department at that time, gave me an advice. I didn't need it, but he said, Manuel, you want to die here? And I said, yes, of course. And he said, treat well your student with respect. Tend to them, and you will last until kingdom come.
Let's talk about Plymouth the way it was when you arrived here. What were your first few years at Plymouth like?
My first year, I treated the position and especially the college with great respect. I worked very hard going to class, working to give a good lecture, and then slowly the respect became admiration. I was in awe for what the people here with the resources they had. They had endured like almost 100 years. And believe me, I had offers somewhere else, and I said, no, I like this. I rejected them. I like where I am because I see everybody, trying to make Plymouth the best 4-year liberal arts college, which was becoming from a teacher's college. And I still do. I wish I could teach, but those days are gone.
Mm-hmm. I think we're all grateful that you decided to stay here other than elsewhere. Mm-hmm.
And I understand that you are one like that. You are a good teacher, and you love Plymouth.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. When you got the offer, this might be repetitive, but when you got the offer to come to Plymouth, what was it about the offer that made you choose Plymouth as your home as well as the institution in which you were going to teach?
Well, when I was teaching, my wife, we were struggling because they were paying us something like $7,800 or so, and then I said, well, I'm going to the interview, see what happens. And Gloria said, don't accept anything less than I don't remember now, 800. Well, I don't remember now. But I say, okay, drove my so many miles. I think I had a good interview. I think that High liked me very much, and I did like High very much. People maybe not because he was a little strict and so on, but I like the people who say, well, this is it, and if you do it that way, okay. But then they offer me $900 now that was $9,000, and oh, my mind this morning is, it's terrible. Okay, 9,500. And I said, well, Dr. Hyde, I have to go back home. Back home was Halton, Maine. I'll call my wife, see she likes that. She thinks maybe not. She keeps the books and everything. And I went down. You know, in the corner down there in Main Street, there was a kiosk with telephone and maps and so on. So I called her over the telephone, and I said, "Well, what's that?" I said, "I love the town. I love the people, and I wish I could stay here." Well, what they offer you? Well, they offer me 9,500. And Gloria said, "Well, tell him that you already talked to me, turn around and go back and say that we accept the offer." Duffy, who had, no, not Duffy, the dean, who had more experience in dealing with the students, and so smiled because he had my records there and so on. And he said he thought that the offer was very, very nice after eating rice and beans, most of the times. Okay.
What about the town itself? Was there something in Plymouth that attracted you, or maybe it didn't attract you?
I think that, yes, the town attracted me, it has attracted me till this day when I enter this place, because it has something that, yes, not too many New England towns have. It has that wonderful tower where we are sitting here around, and it had the old library right there. Then they built a new one, and the architects were very clever. The architects of that building said, "You don't have a theme for your school," and they told the architects told the administration here, "You should have a theme, and the theme is those towers." And if you go to the old trolley car restaurant, and you stand right there and look up, it's magnificent. You see all these towers right there, and then the sky, the blue sky. And I am very, sentimental. I like to see that, and I was impressed. And the people were fine. The merchants were fine. I don't know if I should tell these anecdotes. Once I accepted the position. They accepted me, and I accepted the offer, and I rented a house, and I went to downtown, and I needed things to do things in the house, and did my hammering and so on, and went back because needed more. And the gentleman who was there said, "What do you need?" "Oh, I need this." "Okay." And then I said, "But I don't have my credit card here with me." And they said, "Go home. You pay me later." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, this is good."
This is good.
Not that I didn't intend to pay. I went back, asked Gloria, or my credit card run down, immediately paid him. Because if he did that so fast, I wanted him to see that I also reacted fast to a debt. So that other people, the names come to my imagination. Watson Rands, it was in Rands, okay. And I liked that, and I found them helpful in many other ways in town. And I said, "Oh, I like this town." Through the years, I was offered many positions. In one of them in the West Coast, in Santa Barbara, I think. And I came back, and I said, "Well, we are going to move these and send these and so on." And when I landed in Boston, I said, nah, what is $1,000 more or a phony prestige? No, 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 no. I'm staying here in Plymouth. I want to do my career in Plymouth. What matters if people don't know me? So all those factors. Gloria was happy here. The girls were going to school and like it, so I said, here is where I will do my career.
Okay. Was there someone in Plymouth, the town of, or the college, that influenced you, that may have mentored you, you looked up to, you thought highly of?
Well, the first days that I was here, and I went to teach my first classes here, I said, I have to find and observe what I think is the best teacher, the one that takes care of the classroom. And I discovered two persons that influenced me, one more than the other. Norton Bagley, okay, and Henry Vidon. I found Henry Vidon spectacular, and I want to tell you this. I never told to him, and then he got sick and went to home in Lagonia or whatever it was. And I had meant to tell him this. I didn't tell him until I would go and he would go. And suddenly I ran against him in the supermarket. And I said, Henry, I've been meaning to tell you, my classroom was next to my classroom, and I heard, how could you not know that voice? I heard, not that I don't have one, I heard you teaching, I heard how you deal with your students, I heard your jokes, and I said, that is my role model. And would you believe the gentleman that it is? And a year later, he died.
During the time you've been at Plymouth, what major changes have you seen? What have you observed in the last 30, 40, 50 years at Plymouth?
What's that again?
What changes have you seen?
Oh, I've seen tremendous changes. This is not a little town. You have to think, I measure everything through the lens of the college, university. The changes here at the university have been tremendous. And the changes in the town also. And I'm lucky that I was part of them, and I am lucky that I have the ability to step out and say, wow, this is great, this is not so great, and so on and so on. So that's my ideas. Actually, you know, next to a corner of Rounds Hall, they did a esplanade with red bricks, you know, which looks great. And then they put the years when they did the esplanade, 67, 68, and so on. Would you believe that when I crossed that esplanade, I step on the bricks and I turn around, 66, 67, 68, and I look and I say, we did this. We, not me, my generation that came here, we did this that didn't exist completely. So I have a view of Plymouth in history. And I was also very lucky that I taught a few interdisciplinary courses with other professors, and I would hear them talking about Plymouth and so on and so on. And there was a beautiful and very funny anecdote. We created a group that went to lunch every day when possible down to Annie's restaurant, and we were like 7 or 8, and one day came a new hiring to join us, and he said, we were eating the soup and the bread and so busy. That said, I've been hiring to teach here. I don't remember where it was, but I want you to know, gentlemen, that I don't believe in God. And all of us did this. We continue eating, and that was it. He thought we were being scandalized, and we look at it. It was so funny. I hope he is not in Plymouth anymore, because he will remind that.
What do you feel was one or two of your major contributions during your time at Plymouth State?
I think I did a contribution, which, by the way, they eliminated, and I'm still very sad and very sorry. It was the medieval degree and the medieval forum. I heard a gentleman the first day of class this year or last year that saying that Plymouth was too isolated. What was the word? I don't remember. It will come, it's around the brain, not very jumping. But he said that Plymouth was isolated. I reacted because the medieval forum, we had people coming from Europe to give papers, and from many countries of the Western world. And I say, what, isolated? Oh, yes, I remember the word, which very insulting, insular. Like we were right here in the middle of a continent. And I said, and it lasted, the forum lasted 30 years. It cost to the institution practically peanuts, because we put together the talent to teach the different subjects that they also taught in the regular course, and we were not paying anything extra. And another thing about the college, it never missed when we had the college, when these professors and so were down 93. If you have some kind of power, so please tell them to cut the trees right there in 93, because you began to see Plymouth right there. Oh, it's such a view with the white towers and so on and so forth. They never missed that. These professors came to see me. I was there, and he said, is there any openings here in Plymouth? What a beautiful town. And I think it's very beautiful. Next time, do this. Not now because the trees block it, but stand in front of the restaurant downtown and turn around and look up. Oh God, it's incredible. It elevates you. Okay.
How has the town of Plymouth
I am
changed?
a sucker for those things. Okay.
How has the town of Plymouth changed since the time you joined?
In what way?
Physically, structurally, perhaps?
Physics has changed tremendously. New buildings, new business. What was the other question? Socially, okay. Socially, I don't know what to tell you, because my life was entirely here. Okay, the life of Plymouth was my life, but I think so. It's more cosmopolitan, if I want to use a word.
Interesting. You have in front of you now a couple of artifacts, things that you want to
yes.
share.
Oh, I forgot. I had an assistant. I had to do everything for the forum. He knows. I have to do everything the first 4 or 5 years. everything for the forum, do the polls, do the cards. Oh, it was such a work. But then they gave me a secretary. But don't think that they paid like any other regular secretary. They didn't. But she was also in love of the work. And we had a banquet. The forum ended with a banquet, okay, and cooked a meal a la medieval, you know, and so on and so on, and did the silverware and so. This is a model of one that she saw, and I don't know if I should mention her, Ursula Allen from Laconia. I think she was tremendous, and she was my secretary and held me 15 or 16 years, and other things also, you know, she made, and so, but she was exhausted after 50 years, and came to see me and said, Manuel, I think I'm going to retire. I'm sorry, but other duties not more important, because this for me was very fulfilling, but physically I can't. And I said, what a coincidence, Ursula. I was thinking seriously to finally retire. And I did 30 years, and she did 15, 16, and so on. And the first telephone call in the morning was hers reporting. It was funny, you know, the climbing society of Plymouth, young people, of course, they would put every year in Rounds Tower a pennant, you know, flying, and so on. Everybody was every year waiting for it, but it was during the night. And Ursula said, I cannot work anymore here. I said, why? Because one of these guys falls, Manuel will be forever working for him and his family. And I said, you're right. I cannot deny that, so we will tell them not to do that. I understand that they are doing it again, I don't know.
You have a pin in front of you.
Oh,
Does
yes.
that have significance?
That pen was from Plymouth, 125 years. Okay, and this one here was not 40 years, for 40 years. And I have one for 45, I think, but no. But I called, what was his name? Well, one of my students, which I called Thurston. I said, I think I deserve, because if you go to the record, deserve the 50-year button, because you go to the records and you put the graduate courses I have taught, and all through the years, and so in summer I had the 50 years, and you do something about it. And I had really 40, 42, and then 2 weeks later she called me and said, you got your pin. So,
if you had new faculty members in front of you right now,
yes.
What might you share? They've just come on board. What advice might you give to them?
The same advice that I was given by Henry Bingham and Dave Switzer. I would give them, listen, the most important part of your teaching and everything is a student. And the rest, it comes second, third, and so on and so on. And I don't know to tell you this story, but it's in a book published by Plymouth. I was one day in my class newly arrived, 2 or 3 years, and here comes this man in tears practically. And he was in my class. And he said, you know, the professor was teaching his class, and I stood up and I said, this great country of ours. And the guy jumped all over him and said, great, great class, great country. Ah, no, you have to write me a paper telling why this is a great country. Well, he came to my office crying because he was the salt of the earth. He wanted to get his degree because he was a music teacher, but he didn't have a degree, so he couldn't teach in high school, less in college. And I said, you know, us professors have bad days and good days. Usually the bad days are more than the good days, but don't pay any attention. He will forget. That was like in October. Juan Penconchon shared my office, and we sat there speechless. And then I looked at him and I said, Juan, are you thinking what I am thinking? He said, that we write the paper. See, the guy's grammar wasn't very good and so on and so. And he said, yes, let's write the paper. Because we kind of became the crusaders of the downtrodden and so on. So we wrote the paper. It was so funny because the secretary of the department constantly saying, give me the paper, I need the paper to type it. No, give it to me in type form and so on. And we have to correct mistakes and so on. And I had prepared, with Juan, I had prepared the cover. And so he gave the paper, we put the present, you know, and gave it to the student. Okay, here you have your paper. The man couldn't believe that, so he took, and in December, he came back, you know, covered in snow. He looked at me. I lived behind the school. He looked at me. I said, he didn't forget. He wants the paper. So Juan and I divided, and you do from this to this, and working and so on. So, but listen, if you tell anybody, will murder you. You will appear murder because that's a great offense doing that, okay? Came exam time, and I tell Juan, you know, I am worried, I don't even sleep. And they discover, and we are looking for a job. And Juan told me that, and I said, that's not what bothers me, Juan. What bothers me is the grade that we are gonna get. and so the man came back with the paper roll like this, I pass. And both Juan Chong and myself look at each other, and with trepidation, we asked, what was the grade? And he said, C+. I said to Juan, we are C+ professors.
Is there...
I told that at my retirement. I told that at my retirement, and the president was there, of course, Farrell, and I said, well, you can fire me if you want, you can, and fire. He stood up and said, you did the right thing. So I sat down. So now I feel better. The president exonerated me.
Our time has come to a close, Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
What,
Anything else you want to share with the audience?
you think there is anything else I can share with the audience?
Well, that you dare.
No, I don't care. Listen, yes, there is something that we enjoyed. It. We discover, that's why they began. We discover in Rounds Hall inside you could go all the way up, and from there, the valley, and I am scared of heights. And that ladder next to it, it was creaky and so on. I don't know how I got to the last window, but I saw it. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's absolutely
incredibly
beautiful. And but don't do it.
I did it.
And besides, the pigeons live there. Okay. Well, any other questions?
No, I think that one's too quick. You're fine. Go ahead. Yeah.